Welcome to the forgotten history of L.I. Cohen and his William Street playing card empire. This is the second video in our series exploring the origins of America's early playing card makers, and today we're going to have a look back through the life and work of one of the most important. L.I. Cohen was a stationer and playing card maker located in Lower Manhattan during the first half of the 19th century. He produced many popular New York brands featuring some of the most influential and patriotic designs. He is also credited for having a key role in the industrialization of playing cards in America. Cohen was a noble and charitable man, and his charismatic personality drew many to his William Street stationery store. He was a great innovator who not only introduced the trade to lead pencils and steel pens, but also to four-color printing in many future playing card makers. It would be safe to say that if it wasn't for him, things could be very different today. This brings us to the question, who was L.I. Cohen? Louis Joseph Cohen was born on July 23, 1800, in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Soon after, the family settled in Charleston, South Carolina, where Louis would spend his early childhood years. His father was a soldier in the Revolutionary War, and he was stationed in Philadelphia when Cornwallis' surrender was announced. With a family steeped in national patriotism, it's no surprise that Louis would carry this mantle into all of his endeavors. In 1815, Louis traveled to England to apprentice with his half-brother Solomon, a prominent pencil maker and London businessman. It was there that he learned the stationery trade and gained a practical understanding of the early manufacturing industry. When he returned to America in 1819, Cohen arrived in New York Harbor with an enterprising spirit that was put to work before leaving the docks. He spotted a boat loaded with high-quality lumber and struck a deal with the captain to purchase the entire load for Solomon back in England. Louis kept one log for himself to manufacture pencils, and with that, he had arrived. At first, Cohen opened a stationery shop located at 30 Pine Street, where he made and sold refined pencils, colored chalks, and crayons. He soon moved to 71 William Street, and as his reputation began to grow, the shop became a popular destination for many artists and authors of the day. Over the years, Louis had become interested in the idea of manufacturing playing cards, and in 1832 he produced his first rudimentary decks. While these early examples lacked the refinement of his later work, they certainly foreshadowed the greatness to come. Now seeing playing cards as a viable plan for the future, Cohen was again looking for space to expand. In 1833, he moved to 122 William Street and began working on plans to dominate the playing card market. Under a veil of secrecy for 2 years, he developed a machine that was capable of printing 4 colors at once. This new ability was implemented in 1835 and would be enough to propel him miles ahead of the competition. For over 2 decades, Cohen's success grew, and he would own many addresses along William Street. The sheer number of times that he relocated reflects that the demand for his playing cards was always high. 118 William Street, 134, 138, and 190 would all become sites associated with Cohen throughout the 30s and 40s. To assist his expanding efforts, Cohen made the business a family affair. Although many relatives would apprentice with him over the years, the most notable was his son Solomon and nephews John J. Levy and Samuel Hart. These men would all become famous playing card makers and later shape the industry in their own unique ways. Hart, who operated Cohen's stationery store in Philadelphia, would go on to have the most successful career. His Pharaoh cards would travel across the country during the California Gold Rush and become one of the most endearing symbols of life in the Wild West. In 1848, L.I. Cohen sold the stationery side of his business to focus exclusively on making cards. In 1854, he semi-retired and turned the company over to his sons Solomon and John Lawrence. Together, they continued to run the business almost unchanged until 1860, when they began to introduce playing cards with their company name, Lawrence & Cohen. Louis spent the following years enjoying his success and watching his son and family make their ways in the industry he helped create. At the onset of the Civil War, Louis made plans to move to England, where he still had family and friends. And after settling his affairs, he left New York and America behind. Before he went, he drafted a final playing card design that Lawrence and Cohen would manufacture during the final years of the war. Upon arriving in London, Lewis lived his remaining years with his wife Sophia in Maida Hill. Lewis Cohen died on April 14, 1868, and was laid to rest at the Lauriston Road Jewish Cemetery with his half-brother Solomon. Although Lewis Cohen disappeared from New York, his playing cards would continue to be sold by Lawrence and Cohen until they merged with Samuel Hart and John J. Levy to form the New York Consolidated Card Company in 1871. The formation of the New York Consolidated Card Company is a story for another time. But this all-business family reunion saw the three firms that Cohen had helped cultivate come together and take the playing card industry by storm. In fact, they took it in a whole new direction, but certainly down a path that Lewis would have approved of. In a short window of time, L.I. Cohen went from being a New York stationer to one of the most important playing card makers in the country. The seeds of knowledge he sowed were evident until well into the 20th century, and, if you know where to look, some of Cohen's influence can still be seen today. After more than 30 years had passed since the last Cohen left William Street, subway construction in Lower Manhattan produced some excellent photographs of the area. The following presentation will shed light on the final days of some of L.I. Cohen's William Street playing card factories. These rare images have been arranged in a short video to let you experience L.I. Cohen's William Street like never before. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Thanks for joining me today and learning about the forgotten history of L.I. Cohen and his William Street playing card empire. There's a lot more to see and many more manufacturers to meet, but that'll have to wait for another time. For now, I'm Jason McKinstry from the World of Paper Empires. See you next time.